We begin the Gemara today on Daf Kuf Nun Gimel, Amud Aleph, 5 lines down from the top of the Amud. The Gemara continues with halachas related to the gift of the Shchiv Mirah, the dying person that says he wants to give a gift. Here the Gemara brings a machlokes between Rav and Shmuel about this. We had a few arguments before between Rav and Shmuel. The Gemara brings another case of this kind of matana. Hahi metante, there was a gift of a Shchiv Mirah. Now it was written in the start of this gift, B'chayim u'b'moves, in life and in death, that it's being given to you in life and in death. So now it's not clear how to define this kind of matana. Now the Rashbam explains that we're talking over here about a gift of a Shchiv Mirah, where the person is giving not all of his properties but and possessions, is only giving some of them, and there's a kinyan that's made here as well. Usually when you give a matana of a Shchiv Mirah and you only give some of your properties, you have to make a kinyan. So now, because this is a matana of a Shchiv Mirah, that he's only making it with a kinyan, and then when you look into the document of this gift, it says on one hand that it's being given in life, and then it says it's being given in death. So now it becomes a big suffix here. What is this? Is this a gift that's taking effect now, in lifetime, like a gift of a healthy person? And there was a kinyan that was made here, or do I say no, that because he wrote B'moves, so then this is really the matana of a Shchiv Mirah that Chachamim instituted, that it takes effect after the person passes away. And the nafkamina would be, if it's a gift of a healthy person, so then you can't retract from this gift. If it's a gift of a Shchiv Mirah, so then even if it was made with a kinyan, but if we say that we follow the word Moves, which means that he's making it clear that he's only giving it because he's passing away, so then he could retract from this matana if he recovers from his illness. So how do we understand what kind of gift is this? Rav Amma, so Rav says, this is a matana of a dying person, and therefore we say that if he's going to recover, because he made it clear that he's only giving it because he's dying, he can retract from this. Shmuel Amare kematnas body. Shmuel says no. It says over here b'chayim. So it takes effect when he's alive, like a gift of a healthy person, and you can't be chayzer anymore, even if he recovers. So now the Gemara explains their argument. Rav says this is a matana of a Shchiv Mirah that only takes effect when he passes away, and if he recovers, he's able to retract from this because because it says in the shtar that he's giving this after he dies. So that's achamisaka amarla. That so that he's saying to the recipient that you can only get this after I die. Now, the chsiv b'chayim. The fact that he also wrote in it in my lifetime, simin ba'alme dechaye. He's just writing like a good simin that I'm still alive. When a person writes a will, a tzavah that I want to give to this and this person when I pass away, but he's still alive, so he doesn't want to talk about what's going to happen after he passes away. So as a good sign, he writes, and I'm still alive, and I hope I remain alive. That's the only reason he wrote b'chayim. But not that the gift is going to take effect now when he's alive, because he's writing afterwards b'misa. So therefore this is a matana of a Shchiv Mirah. So if he recovers, he's able to retract from this. Shmuel says, no, we understand this shtar, the opposite. Harehi kematnas body. This matana here is like the matana of a healthy person, since he wrote into the shtar that he's giving it in his lifetime, so that means mechayim kamar. He wants the gift to take effect now while he's alive. Now, the chosav b'moves, the fact that he also adds that when I die, what does that mean? Commando Amar, this is to be understood like a person says, Me'ata v'ad olam. I'm giving you this gift and it takes effect now and it should remain yours forever from today when I'm alive and forever even after I pass away. So b'chayim is what tells us when the gift is given. Now, and as I mentioned, because this is talking about a case where he made a kinyan, so therefore we can say, like what Shmuel says, that this is a gift that takes effect now. Amri Nerdoi said about this argument, Hilchasek v'osei de Rav. We paskin like Rav in this case, and therefore we say that this is a matana of a Shchiv Mirah that only takes effect after he passed away. But Rave added and said that there's a nuance here. There could be a difference in what the exact word was used. Before the Gemara was discussing when he wrote in the shtar, B'chayim and B'moves. So on that we say that it means that he's giving it to him B'moves after he passed away. B'chayim is just saying that I'm still alive and I hope I remain alive, but it's really a gift after he passes away. But Rave says, V'kosav mechayim. If you wrote in it mechayim, not bachayim with a base, but mechayim with a mem, from when I'm alive, So then, kana. Then the recipient does acquire this from now, because he wrote Mechayim. So the Rava says that means that he's actually telling him that the gift should take effect now, when I'm alive, like a gift of a healthy person, and therefore this is something that you can't retract from. Amar Ameima said, we don't paskin like Rava regarding this case of Mechayim with a mem. Amalei Ravashi, La Ameima, Ravashi says to Ameima, Pshita. It's obvious that we don't paskin like Rava, then in such a case it takes effect now when he's alive. To Ha'amri Nerdoi, because it was already said by Nerdoi, that Hilchasek Kavasei de Rav, that we paskin like Rav, and Rav said that when you write in the Shtar Bamaves, that it means that it takes effect when you pass away, and the fact that you wrote the term Bachayim does not mean anything. It's just a good siman that you're still alive. So therefore Ravashi understood that whether you write Bachayim with a base or you write Mechayim with a mem, it shouldn't make any difference. The halacha should always is the same point that Rav says, that the term Chayim used here is only as a good siman that he's still alive now. So why did he have to point out that we don't paskin like Rava? But the Gemara here says that no, he had to say this because Mao de Tema Mechayim Moidirav, that if you write it with a mem Mechayim, so then maybe here you are saying that it should take effect from now. So maybe here Rav would agree that it's a matana of a healthy person. Kamash Malan, therefore Ameima had to say that we don't paskin like Rava. So the Gemara brings two incidents that happened in connection to such a kind of shtar of a shchiv mira, where it says both of these terminologies, Chayim and Maves. So Hahuda Asala Kamed Rav Nachman and Arda, there's someone that had such a kind of shtar of a shchiv mira, where it said both Chayim and Maves, and he came to Rav Nachman that was in Arda, in the city Arda. So he asked him, what's the halacha with this shtar? Am I kind with this, or the giver can retract from this? So Shadri Lekamed Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba, he sent this person to go to Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba l'shum tamya, that wasn't shum tamya, that he should paskin for him. Why didn't he not want to paskin for him over here? Didn't we just paskin now? We said the halacha is like Rav. Then in such a case, it's a gift of a shchiv mira that only will take effect after he passes away. So Omar, because Rav Nachman said, Hacha, here in Narda, Asrei de Shmuel. This is the city where Shmuel lives. So how are we going to do here? How should I paskin here in this place, which is Shmuel's city? How could I paskin here like Rav? So therefore, he didn't want to paskin for him in the city where Shmuel lived like Rav. So he sent him to Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba in a different place that he should paskin for him like the halacha is like Rav. Another case, Ahu Dasoy Lakamei de Rava. There was someone that came with such a kind of document in front of Rava that it was written in this shtar that he's giving it, and here it was written like the case that Rava said before. It was written in it Mechayim with a mem, Mechayim and Bamoves. So over here in this case, what did Rava paskin? Ovedla Rava Kishmaite. So Rava paskin like what he said before, that even though we paskin like Rav, that the gift takes effect after the person passed away, but because it said Mechayim with a mem, in this case it's different. In this case we say that the gift does take effect when he's alive, like a gift of a healthy person. So have a katar. So he passed like I said, like Rava explained before. So now have a katar delay. So this person was, or this was a woman that she was bothering Rava about the psaktin, that he passed in that the gift takes effect now and she can't retract this. So she recovered from her illness. She wanted to be able to retract from this. And Rava paskined against her, that because she wrote Mechayim, so that means that it takes effect now. So she was bothering him about this psaktin. So Rava said to Rav Papa, son of Rav Chana, which was his scribe that took care of writing the Piskei Dinim that he paskined, and he said, Zilk Soivla, go write for her what she wants. She wants me to write for her that even in this case, you paskin like Rav, that the gift only takes effect after the person passes away, and since here she's now alive and she wants to retract from it, paskin for her like she wants, that she's right. But then he said, write on this document that you're giving her from the Psak Din, write to her this expression, which comes from a Mishnah in Bava Metzia, where this is a case where a person hired workers that didn't show up to the job, or they're not doing what they're supposed to. So now you don't have to pay them. You could hire other workers at the expense of these workers that are not doing their job. Or matan, you can fool them, you can tell them, come work and I'll pay you double, even if you're not going to end up paying them double. That's what that mission is talking about. So in other words, Rava said, write to this woman the psak din she wants, even though it's incorrect. But then right at the bottom, this expression of Seichel Aleinu Maton, so if she'll bring this psak din to another bezdin, they'll look at this and they'll see something strange here. Why does it say this line of Maton at the bottom? They'll understand that this psak din that is being given to her is not really correct. It was just given to her because of the pressure, that she pressured them. So now this woman received this psak din with this writing on it, and she realized that Rava only wrote this to her because of the pressure, and therefore she wrote that this line was written here, and therefore she can't really do anything with this psak din, so she's still stuck. So Amr, she was still upset about this. So a very stubborn woman here. She was mamish being matrid Rava about this, and now she said, "Lit ba'arbe, let his boat sink because of what he did to me. That he's writing me such a psak din that I can't even use." So this was a curse. So atuya kamatasli, you're trying to fool me here with this, to give me this psak din, and then writing this line in the bottom that I won't be able to use this. So now after the students there heard this woman that cursed Rava, so now as Rashbam here brings, even the klala, a curse of even a simple person, could also have an effect. Just like it says, Al tibirchas hedyet kala beinacha. Even if a simple person gives you a bracha, it's valuable. The same is in the opposite. So over here they were concerned about this curse of this woman. So in order for it not to affect Rava negatively, so what they did was, Amshinu lemane de Rava b'maya. They took his clothing and they were soaking it in water, that this should be the fulfillment of her curse, that to sink in the water, that the boat should sink in the water, it should be fulfilled here with this that they're doing. But it didn't help. He wasn't saved, Rava wasn't saved from this, that he had what this curse was, that his boat sunk as a result of what this woman said. So here we see how careful you have to be when someone says something, it could have such a kind of effect.
With him, no.
Again?
He was in the boat?
No. Doesn't say that. No. His boat sunk. Yeah.
No, he didn't pass away.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. The Gemara continues here. The next Mishnah is a continuation of the halachas of a shchiv mirah. So, Zok Heilige Mishnah, Loi kosav bo. If you have a star of a gift of a dying person, now it's not written in the star, shchiv mirahu. That, again, shchiv mirah, that is. It's not written what it's usually written in the star of a shchiv mirah, usually when a dying person gives a gift. So it's written in the star of the shchiv mirah, as we'll see, the Gemara is going to bring the lashon that this person was ill, and he was in bed, and he gave the gift as a shchiv mirah. So here, this is a star that it wasn't written in it that it's a gift of a shchiv mirah. Now, the Rashbam explains, we're talking over here about a gift that the shchiv mirah gave, and he didn't leave anything for himself. Now, if this is a gift of a shchiv mirah, if he recovers, he's able to retract from this. But if it's not a gift of a shchiv mirah, if it was a gift of a healthy person, so then it's something that you cannot retract from. So now, because the star, it didn't say whether he gave it as a shchiv mirah or he gave it as a healthy person, so now it's unclear what's going on here. Now, there's another detail that the Rishonim here add also. This must be a case where this is a star that a kinyan was made with it. Because if there was no kinyan, then it can't be a gift of a healthy person. So it has to be a star that was also a kinyan. But even if there was a kinyan, it could still be a star of a shchiv mirah, even with a kinyan, but if it was given because he was passing away, he gave everything away. So it's clear that he was giving it only because he was passing away. You still would be able to retract from this. So now there's an argument here. The giver says, when I wrote this star, I was a dying person, and therefore it only takes effect if I pass away, and if not, if I recover, I can keep everything. But the recipients say, no, bari ayisa. When you wrote this star, it doesn't say in it that you were a shchiv mirah. You were a healthy person, and there was a kinyan made, and you gave it away, and now you can't retract from this. So what happens? What do we do in such a case? So tzarech lahavi rayesh shchiv mirah haya. The recipient is the one that's going to have to prove that when this person gave it, again, tzarech lahavi rayesh shchiv mirah haya. Sorry, that's the giver, the shchiv mirah. So the giver, he's the one that's going to have to prove there is a shchiv mirah. The recipients have a star. They have a star that says that it belongs to them. It doesn't say in the star anything about him being a shchiv mirah. So now, if this giver wants to argue that he was a shchiv mirah when he gave it, he's going to have to prove that. The Gemara is going to explain exactly why we say this, why it is him that has to prove it, and exactly what the proof is. There will be a big discussion in the Gemara about this. Divrei Rav Meir. This is Rav Meir's opinion. The Chachamim say, no, actually the opposite is true. The recipient, which wants to now come and kick the person that owns these properties out of these properties and say that you gave it to us as a gift. And so the one that, the giver is the one that has the chazakah. He's the one that's occupying the properties now. They, with this star, want to go and say that it belongs to them. So, they want to take him out. They have to bring the proof for this. Okay, so the Gemara here brings a story in relation to what it said in the Mishnah. Hahuma Tamte, there was a gift It did say in the gift that this was a gift of a shchiv mirah. And this is here the lashon that it usually says. Kadavakotzer, when this person was ill, Virami Bar saying it was lying in his bed, and he gave this gift. That's what it says in the shtar. So it's clear that it's a shtar of a shchiv mirah. Okay, but V'loi kosav ba, but then it does not say though in this shtar that umigoi mire iftar lebeisei lame, that it's from this illness that he passed away. Right, so now the case over here is that this person did pass away, but it doesn't say that he passed away from this illness when he wrote this shtar of the gift as a shchiv mirah. So now what could be? It could be that this person actually recovered from that illness, and then he got ill again later at a later point, and he died afterwards. But he did recover first. And if he did recover first, then what happens? The gift that he gave as a shchiv mirah, he could retract from this. Okay, so now there's an argument over here. What happened? Did he recover in between or not? Here actually Taisus points out, and this is relevant for this whole entire concept of a shchiv mirah that recovers from his illness, that the shchiv mirah does not have to befedish come and retract from his gift. A shchiv mirah that recovers from his illness, so automatically the gift that he gave goes back to him. I'm talking here about a case where he gave everything and he's able to retract from this, so he doesn't have to actually befedish retract from this. Okay, so now what do we say in such a case? So the Gemara says, Omar Rabbe. So Rabbe Paskin, Hare Meis. We see now that this person had died. Hare Kivrei Mechiyach Chalav, and he's buried. So therefore, we see that he died. So therefore, what Rabbi basically says is that we see that there was a shtar here that was written when he was not well. That's what the shtar says. And now we see that he actually died. So we go according to what we see now in front of our eyes. This is what's called chazake dahashta. Since we see now that this person is not alive anymore, so we, based on what we see now, we will assume that he died from that illness. And we're not going to have a suffix that maybe he recovered in between and then he died later at a later point. No, he probably died, and therefore the gift of the shchiv mirah takes effect. Amalei Abaye. Again?
Where do we see that in the middle he became good again and then he died?
No, forget. That's exactly the point. The Rabbi is saying that we don't say that he recovered in between. Since we see that he's dead now, so we say that he died, and therefore the matana of the shchiv mirah takes effect.
How are we meant to say that maybe middle?
Because we don't know. Usually it would say in the shtar that he died from this illness. That's usually what's written. The Eidim that are there write this shtar of this gift, and the Eidim that saw that he died right after he wrote the shtar. So the Eidim write that he was sick in bed, then he gave this gift, and he died from this illness. Here though, that detail that he died from this illness was not written. But nevertheless, Rabbi says we go according to the chazaka dahashta, and the chazaka of what we see now. Since now we see that he's dead, so therefore we say that he probably did die from that illness. So Amalei Abaya asks Rabban this, but why are we assuming this? Just based on the fact that now we see he's not alive anymore. Now hashte umas fina. If when it comes to the case of a boat that is lost in the sea with a big storm, sharuban la'abed, in most cases, this is a boat that will sink. But and nevertheless, what's the halacha when we do not know what ended up happening with this boat? So the halacha is that in such a case, naisnan aleihem, regarding the people that are on the boat, we apply to them chumrei chayim, the stringencies that maybe they're still alive, and the chumrei meisen, and also the stringencies to assume that they're dead. Right, so the Rashbam here says that the example for this would be if you have a woman that's on this boat. So if this woman is married to a kohen, and while she's married to a kohen, she's allowed to eat trumah. So if her husband is on this boat and we don't know if he's alive or dead, we're going to assume that husband, which is the kohen, probably died and she can't eat trumah anymore. Or if it would be an opposite case, where it would be a bas kohen that's married to a Yisrael, and as long as the bas kohen is married to a Yisrael, she's not allowed to eat trumah. So over here, we're going to assume that her husband is still alive, and therefore she can't eat trumah. So we see over here that in such a case, even though it's a situation that most people in such a case of the boat that got lost in the middle of the sea probably are dead, but nevertheless we even apply the stringencies that may be still alive. So now if so, chaylin, when it comes to people that are ill, most people that are ill recover from their illness. So like kol shekain. So most definitely shouldn't we be concerned that this person that gave this gift as a shchiv mirah, but we don't have the Eidim that wrote on the shtar that he died from this illness. So shouldn't we be concerned that maybe he recovered from this? So why is Rabbi saying that we could just follow what we see now? Hashta, that since we see now that he's dead, that's enough to determine that he died from this illness. Most people recover from their illness. That was the question that Abai asked on this. Now, the Rishonim here actually point out that the question of Abai is hard to understand because in the case that he's bringing proof from this case of the boat, that boat disappeared and we don't know what happened to those people. So we don't see in front of us anything now that we can determine whether those people are alive or not. So over there, we have to be machmer that maybe those people are still alive. Over here though, the point that Rabbi was saying is that there's a chazaka dahashta. We see right now over here that this person is dead. So therefore Rabbi says the klal is in such a case, we follow the status that we see now. If you have a suffix about what happened before, so we know that he wrote this matana, and now you don't know what happened before, we're going to follow the status that we have over here now. And so therefore, what's the comparison to this case of the boat where we don't see any hashta, we don't see in front of us now these people that are on the boat. So some Rishonim say that it's for this reason that Rabbi never even answered Abaye on this question. Didn't respond b'chlal to this question. There are other pshatim that are said about this, what exactly Abaye's svara was, but if you look here in the Gemara, it doesn't bring what Rabbi's answer to this question was. But now here the Gemara brings that what Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua said, who was Rabbi basing his halacha on? Amar Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua, Keman Ozla Ha Shmaita de Rabbi. According to who does this halacha that Rabbi paskin that you go basa the hashta? You look at the status that we see in front of our eyes now. Who is this based on? Rab Nosson. It's based on what Rav Nosson said. The Tanya, because in our Braisa we learned as follows. And this Braisa is speaking about the case that our Mishnah was talking about. In a case where you had a gift of a shchiv mirah, and it wasn't written into the shtar that it is a gift of a shchiv mirah. And now there's an argument here where the shchiv mirah says that I gave it as a shchiv mirah and I can retract from this. And the recipients say, no, you were healthy when you gave this, and you can't. So now the question is, mi maitzi miyad mi. Who is the one over here that can take out, that can keep over here these properties? So who maitzi miyadeyan beloy raya? So he, the giver of the gift, so he's the one that can stay to occupy his properties without bringing any proof, because he's the one that has the cheskas mammon. This is like the second opinion we had in our Mishnah, the Chachamim. He's the one that's now in the properties. So therefore he gets to keep his properties without proving that the gift that was given was only as a shchiv mirah. And they cannot be maitzi from his hands until they unless they prove that the gift that he gave them was as a healthy person. So as the Tanakama, Divrei Rabbi Yaakov, this is Rabbi Yaakov's opinion, basically like we had in the Mishnah, like the Chachamim said, that we follow the cheskas mammon, and the giver is the one that's occupying the properties now, so he keeps it. Rav Nosson Omer, however, Rav Nosson says, in body who we actually look at what the condition of this person, the giver, is right now. In body who, if today he recovered from his illness and he's healthy now today, so then all of the havirai shahayish chemina. So then we see him today walking around like a healthy person, and he's coming and claiming that the gift that he gave in this shtar was when he was ill and he only gave it as a shchiv mirah, but we see him today walking around healthy. So he's going to have to now prove that he was a shchiv mirah when he wrote that gift. But if we see now that this person is still lying on his deathbed, he's still not well, and now he wants to retract from this gift that he gave these people, and we see that he's in bed not well, so then we say aleim lahavi raya shabari haya. So then the recipients are going to have to bring a raya that when this shtar was written, then he was healthy. So here you see that Rab Nosson is exactly like what Rabbi said, that we follow what we see the status of the person is now. If he's healthy, then we assume that he was healthy when he wrote the shtar. If he's ill, we assume that he was ill when he wrote the shtar. That's the source of what Rabbi said, this concept of chazaka dahashta. You follow the status that's now, and that's even stronger than the concept of ameitz mechaveri olavaraya. Even though he's the one that's possessing his properties, but if he's now a healthy person, so then we say that chazaka dahashta says that he gave it. Though they have a shtar that he gave it to them, and he's probably healthy. We follow that chazaka. Now the Gemara brings that this machlokes, whether you follow the chazaka the way we see the status now, or we follow another chazaka similar to here where we're discussing cheskas mammon. This is basically an argument whether you follow the cheskas mammon versus the chazaka dahashta. A similar kind of argument comes up regarding the halacha of tumah and tara. Amar Rabbi Lazar said, "Ulu tumah kemachlokes." So also regarding tumah, we have the same kind of machlokes as well in this Mishnah. The Tanan, so the Mishnah says as follows. Now, before we see the Mishnah here, what's the halacha regarding any case where there's a suffix if a person got tummy or not? So this is something that's learned out from a saita. Just like by the case of a saita, which is a woman that was secluded with a person, and there's a suffix whether she got tummy, whether she did an aveda or not. So over there, the halacha by a saita is that because of the suffix, she's asked to go back to her husband. So from Saita we learn out that any time there's a tumah that there's a suffix about, if it's in a private domain, similar to the way it is by a Saita, so then we have to be machmer misafik, and the person will be tameh. Now, anytime there's a suffix of tumah and it's not similar to the Saita in a private place in a reshus hayachid, but it's in a reshus harabim, it's in an area where people go there, so then this suffix tumah will be tahir. That's the concept of suffix tumah regarding again the difference between a reshus hayachid or a reshus harabim. But now here, this Mishnah says the way we define what's considered to be a reshus hayachid and what's considered to be a reshus harabim regarding this concept of suffix tumah is different than the way it is by Shabbos. Here, as the Brisa says, or the Mishnah says, that is Bikka, when you have a valley of fields. So this is a valley of fields which is fenced in. So if it's fenced in, regarding Shabbos, this is a place that's a reshus hayachid. So Bikka, this valley, b'yimaisachama, in the summer months. So now during the summer months, these fields are not planted; it's empty. So if that's the case, people walk through it because they're not going to be walking on anybody's produce. So people walk through it. So reshus hayachid l'Shabbos. For Shabbos, this will be considered to be a reshus hayachid because it's fenced in. Now the Rashbam here says, even though this could be a place which is very large, and this is what's called a karfif, that's Yosem Bebeis Asayim, and it's very large, you're not allowed to carry inside of it more than Dal Damas, but nevertheless, minatayre to Reshus HaYachid, and if you throw from a Reshus HaRabim into this place, you'll be chayiv. So, because it's fenced in. But the Reshus HaRabim l'tumeh, for tumeh, it's considered to be a Reshus HaRabim. Why? Because in the summer months, there are people that come through here. So therefore, it's not like the case of a site where it's a secluded area. Now, but this valley, these fields in the valley, in the winter months, Reshus HaYachid lakan lakan. It's considered to be a Reshus HaYachid for Shabbos because it's fenced in, and also for the halacha of tumeh because in the winter months where it's planted, people do not walk in this area. It's considered to be a secluded area, and therefore it's going to be like a Reshus HaYachid for tumeh, that the suffix tumeh is going to be tameh here. That's the chiluk in the halacha of this valley, whether it's the summer or it's the winter. So now, what is the Gemara saying with this? How is it connecting back to the machlokes before? What happens if a person comes and says that I was in this field and he has a suffix whether he touched tumeh in this area, but now he doesn't remember, he doesn't know whether it was in the summer or in the winter that this happened. It's a suffix if he was there in the time when it was had a status of Reshus HaYachid or had a status of Reshus HaRabim. So what do we say? So the same machlokes is going to apply over here. According to Rabbi Yaakov, since the person himself has a cheskas tara, so therefore, if he has a suffix whether he became tomei or not, we're going to follow his chazaka of cheskas tara, that he's going to remain tar no matter what. Just like he says that we follow cheskas mammon, and we don't look at what the time now is, what we see now is that the person is healthy or not. Over here as well, we say that the person has a cheskas tara. But according to Rab Nassan, it will depend what time of the year this question comes up. We have to look at what's now. If the question comes up in the winter, we're going to assume that we follow what's now, and therefore this person is going to be tameh, because in the winter the place is a Reshus HaYachid, and in the Reshus HaYachid we learn from Saita that he's tameh. If right now it's in the summer, so in the summer it's a Reshus HaRabim, so therefore it'll be tar. So over here, the same concept we apply here that Rab Nassan says, that you have to look at the time period of the year. Now the Gemara adds one more halacha to this. According to the Rashbam, this is a statement for itself, a separate halacha regarding the status of this valley, that there's a difference between the winter and the summer. So on this, Omar Rave, so Rave says that Lo Shanu, this that we said that there's a distinction whether it's the winter or the summer. So Lo Shanu ala shaloi avru olav yimaysa geshamim. If this area that was fenced in, and this valley, so it wasn't fenced in yet before the winter. It was fenced in the summer, only after the winter. Then I could say that in the summer, it's considered to be a Reshus HaRabim because the summertime it's not planted and people walk through here. Aval, Avru, all of you may shamim. So that, but if this area was already fenced in before the winter, and then in the winter it's a time when people don't walk here, and then it became defined as a Reshus HaYachid even for Tumeh, so now Reshus HaYachid lakan lakan. So then even when the summer comes, it's still going to remain in that same status of being a Reshus HaYachid even for Tumeh. Once it's already established to be a Reshus HaYachid for Tumeh in the winter months, even if now it's the summer, so Rava says it's going to remain in that status of being a Reshus HaYachid for Tumeh as well.